Iain, thanks for joining us ahead of Saturday's game against Arbroath. But first of all, let's look back at Saturday's Scottish Cup tie against Queen of the South. Victory and through into the next round, so I'm guessing all the objectives was achieved from last weekend.
Yeah, I think so. We were pleased, obviously first and foremost, to get through and get to the next round, and particularly the draw that's come after that. You know, it's definitely a positive thing. I thought we could have. It was a good performance attacking wise. I think we could have, made the game a little bit easier if we'd have converted some of the chances earlier on. And then when there's only one goal difference, it can seem like it's a little bit nervy towards the end, which would have been, obviously that wouldn't have got to that sort of stage if we'd have converted some of the, or at least a couple or at least one more of the good opportunities that we had. Credit to Queen of the South, they created some chances, and again we face them again next week, which will be another difficult tie, but delighted to get through.
Do you feel that getting through and getting the draw at home against Hibs, Scottish Premiership opposition here at KDM Group East End Park, is real reward for everything that's went on at the club this season?
Yeah, I think we're really looking forward to it. Obviously they're a good side, going well, got some good players playing in the Premier League, so it's a good side for us. I think home advantage is great, and I'm sure we'll get a really good crowd, and the crowd will get behind like they always do. And like we've said before, obviously we know it'll be a difficult game against some good players, but we feel that we can, on our day, we can give anyone a good game. So we're looking forward to it.
Lots of games to come before then, though, and that starts on Saturday against Arbroath. Just your thoughts going into that game?
Yeah, the obvious one is we had a really good performance up there earlier on in the season. Things seem to sort of click quite a lot. We scored some goals, but we're under no illusions that the game, no two games are the same. So Arbroath have had a great start to the season, some good performances, some good results. So it'll be another tough game, but we feel confident that we can continue, sort of on the good run that we're going. Make sure that we do the basics right, and hopefully we can, continue with some of the good attacking play that we've been showing of late.
Out with that result against ourselves, they seem to have done really well so far this season, as you said, up and around us in the table as well. So do you feel that we can't take too much out of the game at Gayfield and have to focus on this one as a kind of solo task on its own?
Yeah, even though the game up there, obviously it ended up the score that it ended up, but I think like any game, the goals, and when you score them, they're important. So I think we started the game really well up there. We got a goal, we went one up, and then I think Arbroath had a couple of good chances during that period, and then we scored again just before half time, and then it was the same sort of situation second half. They started quite well, and then we scored. So I think that we did, and I spoke to their coach about it actually afterwards, saying that we scored at good times, and then obviously as the game goes on, they're pressing you a little bit, pressing forward, trying to get sort of a goal back or whatever, and it leaves some spaces. We were able to sort of take advantage of that with a couple of good goals on the counter attack. So yeah, like I said, we're under no illusions that's you only get to that stage in games if you've done the basics right to begin with, and they'll come here and make be difficult opposition for us.
In terms of the squad this weekend, how are we looking in terms of injuries?
Yeah, we've got a couple who've joined back in. So Benny and Josh Cooper have trained all week, so that's great. It was important that they get a full week's worth of training in. Barney was back in training today as well, so that was good. So we're starting to get some numbers back, which is great, because some of them have been a little bit of a bit of a long time. So it's like a little bit of a breath of fresh air, really, them come back in. So they've trained well this week. Training again tomorrow, and then we'll make a decision in terms of who's going to be involved sort of over the weekend. Zach's probably a week or so behind them, but doing really well physically and working really hard. So we'll be excited to hopefully get him back sooner rather than later.
And the other absentee this weekend, Charlie Gilmore, missing through suspension.
Yeah, he's done great for us, Charlie. He's a calming influence on the team. And he's competitive, and that can be a byproduct of what's obviously him picking up some yellow cards. Some of them are debatable, but when you're in the muck and muscle of the midfield, only takes the odd bit of missed time here and there that can lead to a booking. But he's done really well for us. But I think the guys that have come in and the cover that we've got in that area of the pitch, I think we're confident that the guys can come in and contribute as well.
When you think about the long-term absentees that you mentioned, Kyle Benedictus, Zach Grudden, for example, Josh Cooper, missing out, you've had to look at the depth within the squad and kind of adapt. You've seen guys like Nuruddin Abdullahi come into the back line and form a really solid partnership in there, whether it be a back four or a back three, for example. How pleased are you and the management team and Neil with the fact that the guys have not just been flexible enough but also carried on that rhythm week after week that's allowed us to be as consistent as we have been in the second quarter?
Yeah, I think the manager talks about it all the time. It's not about the 11 players, it's really the squad are hugely important. Excuse me, things pop up. Obviously we've had an injury to Shea, so that provides an opportunity for somebody else. And obviously Matt Todd's come in and done really well in that position, scored and made some chances and got some assists. So it's always about the squad, and that's why, sort of from our point of view, you're treating everybody the same. The guys that maybe not start games, you make sure that they're topped up with the physical stuff. They get minutes in games that we need them to get minutes. So it's an overall management of the squad that allows you to sort of put players in, give them the opportunity, and then if they take the opportunity, they stay in the team, and that's the way the manager works. And and it's credit to the guys that they take that on board.
And just finally, we always speak about the fans and what they give to yourself, the management team, the players, everybody around the club on game day. The club putting on the initiative this weekend to try and encourage as many kids and families along to KDM Group East End Park as possible. How crucial is that for going forward to try and attract that next generation and keep them hooked here as Park supporters? Yeah,
definitely. The club's obviously got an amazing tradition in the game up here, so that next generation is massively important. Like I say this every time about the supporters. They've been fantastic the time that we've been here. Really get behind the guys. I think they understand what we're trying to do. We've got a young team, and they can get things wrong and they can make mistakes. But I think on the whole, the fans have been fantastic. Really well, support the guys really well, even through difficult parts in games and difficult games as wholes. That they always seem to be behind the lads, following us home and away, so we can only thank them enough. Hopefully, long may it continue.